She's in charge.
Oh, so there you go.
Okay.
She's right on course.
What did Scott end up saying about,
The door, our door.
he's gonna let us do it in line, right?
Yeah.
No extra footings?
Well, he wanted to look into that, so he wanted to check to make sure he hasn't got.
More work.
No, we ain't doing it.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to keep at least minimum 14-foot door. Need that open space for 2 cars to shovel out front, and salt around the back in there.
But we're gonna use one for the pass door and one for the garage door, correct?
Well, I don't know yet, because if we do a pass door, then he actually made like we were gonna have to shrink that door up.
Well, I don't wanna shrink the garage door.
Yeah, me either. And we've got that front entryway door, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
We walk right in, so
Sure.
I told him if you can't get van door tight, to the
Right.
overhead door and keep that door 14 feet.
Cause those three stems, there's not hardly any, the outside of that is already held up structurally. It's just the 3 middles. I mean, if we put in, I mean, I guarantee you we could do it. Cause I wanna do it in line, cause I don't wanna do any finishes on the outside. We'll be able to caulk and then put, we'll be able to paint. Yeah, and put the door right to that.
Yep.
I'd like to order that door, like soon.
Did you get that attachment then, eventually?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
And,
Mhm.
is that enough information for Raven to go off of, or do what they?
I just have to order the door and gotta make sure, wait a minute, she's got it. We're gonna get a smack of the gavel here in about 2 seconds.
All right. You called me in order and we'll,
Okay, it's 3:00. We'll call the meeting order. Becky, will you read off roll call?
sure. Thank you. Tom Wilson,
Here.
Dean Friel,
Here.
Jack Scrogstead,
Here.
Chris Robertson,
Here.
and Mike Pearson.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, public attendees, there's no one here publicly. Approval of minutes, if there's no changes or corrections, minutes from October 10th, 23 Facilities and Maintenance Committee meeting will stand as presented. Does anybody have any changes to that? Okay. Maintenance Department report, facilities improvement and updates. The Allied Partnership, the reason we're gonna start having these meetings every other week is we finally got through the process of hiring Allied. We got our budget that we want to, the budget that we're trying to hit with what we know we can afford. And then, excuse me. And then we authorized the engineering for all this project. That was done, I believe, 6 weeks ago, Dean, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've been waiting for over a year for these meetings to be bi-weekly where we can have something to talk about. So as this job progresses, Doug from Allied is supposed to have numbers back for us for the November meeting. I believe it was November 13th is our scheduled meeting. Is that right?
Committee meeting.
Committee meeting?
Mhm.
So by the 13th, you guys, we're hoping to have numbers that we can okay as a group, and then we can take it to the full board and get a full board approval by the November meeting. Is that correct, Becky? Yes, and then we can implement the job. As we're implementing the job, we'll be going through the submittal process with Allied. We'll be going through what's the expectations of the county and the expectations of Allied, because there's going to be some scheduling things that we have to take care of. So there's going to be a lot of our interactions are going to be with the judges, figuring out how long the process is going to be to order things, and kind of putting a Gantt chart together of when the stuff's supposed to be processed and when it's supposed to be here, so that we can be organized to the hilt and be very organized. So these meetings will be, really, they'll be informational, but we are going to have a lot of homework to do once this process starts, because there's going to be quite a bit of organization and communications with the judges and the maintenance department and electricians and plumbers and all this other thing. And we got to get with Clay on the security issues. And there's just gonna be a lot of it. So that's why we want to get these meetings started, which is great. I think our next scheduled meeting, we're gonna have the information that we need to go over the budget number. Right now, we're shooting for something in the neighborhood below $4 million. It was at $6.6 million. We've been working for the last 4 or 5 months to try to eliminate a lot of the stuff that was in there. A lot of information that Doug received was kind of pie in the sky type things. Well, we eliminated a lot of that. Another thing is over in the new courts building, through this process, we put in our budget for this year, 75,000 for carpeting, which we eliminated that from the budget for this year, and we're gonna put it in next year's budget. Because by next year, we should have this project well underway where we can start replacing carpetings and all the stuff next year at this time over in the new courts building. So there's been a lot of moving parts with this. There's been a lot of communications with Allied, and Doug's been very good and very helpful. We finally got our end taken care of, and I think we're gonna have some really positive results coming up soon. Does anybody have any questions on the project itself across the street? You have anything, Chris?
No.
No? So just a real quick heads up on what we're looking at doing is all of the larger units over there are all garbage. And we got through the cooling season and we're thankful for that. We're gonna be doing a boiler project. The heating season's already upon us, but we're gonna be doing a boiler project along with the HVAC project. And we're gonna be replacing a lot of the big pieces of this project. We're not doing a key turn type project. We're doing a project that we're putting in VAVs, which can control different portions of the building, gives us more energy efficiency. And we're adding quite a bit with the VAVs. But we also, we're not replacing the piping from the units to the VAVs. We're putting in new pipes from the existing to the VAVs, and then we're reusing a lot of the old pipes. A lot of the old pipes are copper, and they're in good condition. I mean, I think we're saving like $600,000 to $800,000 by not replacing all the pipes. So I'd rather put the money that we have available into the infrastructure. So if things do start to go bad, we can replace a pipe here and there as opposed to replacing them all just for the heck of it. So that's where we're at with that project. So go ahead.
Is there any kind of expectancy on lifespan?
So lifespan of RTUs are 25 years, though currently the newer ones are a little bit better because they're much more energy efficient and they're supposedly better protected from the elements. Unfortunately, when the facility maintenance department started here a few years ago, being very proactive, we did some research on the units over there, and they have been just destroyed with hail, but they were never turned into insurance, and it was too late, so we couldn't do, I mean, all the fins and all the RTUs are just bent over. So now that we got our facility maintenance program going well, we got Jeff hired, we're hiring more guys, but we're trying to stay up on this stuff where we can do PMs and make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen. So once we get this new start, it's going to be pretty exciting as far as I'm concerned to make sure that we've got years of good service. So
Just another question.
yes.
So furnaces, so to speak, you increase efficiency, but then they have a higher tendency for failure. Kind of, is that similar with these? You're getting great efficiencies.
Yeah, I think, anymore, everything is being engineered so differently than it was in the past. I mean, the compressor length of time is much better. I think they've got much better technology, when to turn it on and when to turn it off. There's not as much, they're not as rough on these anymore as like they were in the past. So the newer ones are more like a Lamborghini than they are like a Chevy Bronco
Or
back in the,
Pinto.
or a Pinto back in the day, so.
It's a little more commercial too, so it's not
Okay.
quite like your furnace at home, which I think you're a
That's
little
what I
more
was
on track.
referring-
At
Yeah,
home, you get to a 90 plus, and then all of a sudden the guy says, well, I can fix your furnace from my office.
yeah.
Yeah, some of these pieces that we're replacing are almost as big as a semi-trailer. There's two of them over there that are very large.
Wow.
So there's just some, I mean, they're just, but now that we've got, hopefully we'll get this elevator project started, and that's supposed to be done in 5 to 6 weeks, but we got a good hold on things. And so these meetings are going to be more frequent because we will have some homework to do, and there'll be some things that we'll have to have people come in and so we can talk to them about time schedules and what have you. So, anybody else have anything on that? Dean?
No, I was just gonna say that through this whole process too, originally they were going to put all the VAVs basically where they are now. Well, in talking to the engineers and these people that are experts, they're gonna move them out into one hallway and use the chase or whatever from the existing one. So it's gonna,
Oh.
otherwise you're gonna tear up all the courtrooms, all the ceilings. It's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot better deal when it's done, so.
Yeah, through some of the meetings we've had, we've probably value engineered well over $1 million off the project, just by
Good.
just trying to game plan and getting everybody on the same page. And they've done a really good job in there. The engineering's, like I said, the engineering's done and they're starting to get their numbers. The structural engineering for the old LEC garage door, that we were just talking earlier, but we were just waiting for some information from the structural engineer so we can get going on the steel, because we'd like to get that hole cut in the wall and get the garage door installed. I think we'll arrange for a meeting next week with Scott so we can get a final of what he wants for exact materials. Yep. And then I need exact opening size and I'll get the door order. I can get the door hopefully within a 2 or 3 week time period. It's not a very difficult door to order. But I'd like to get the door authority on that as soon as possible. And we're gonna mount it right to all the tube steel. We're not gonna have to finish anything. So, but that's coming along because we'd like to get our maintenance guys moved into that building over there. They will start taking stuff out of the basement and ripping out more of it. I'd say 75% of the basement has already been demoed and gone. There's a few walls that have to come down yet, but nothing major. Go ahead.
Has much changed since we walked through there? Or is it pretty well?
It's pretty well the way it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a lot on their own that
Good.
don't have to,
Yep.
and there's more that they can do on their own once
Yeah.
we get everything established where it's gonna go.
Because our ultimate goal is to have all of maintenance in there. Everything's gonna come out of the new courts building. The wood shop will be in there for them. All the trucks, the maintenance of the trucks and all that stuff will be in the basement of the old LEC. So
Housekeeping also,
housekeeping
part of
also.
maintenance, but
It's a place where they can go meet in the mornings prior to going to work. So.
I just brought up a picture of a street view of the LEC. Is this where you're talking? That,
Yep, right in that,
I'm gonna
right in
call-
those windows.
this is the old C block in the jail. So you're looking at having a garage door below that, or
Yes.
are you gonna go just below those windows?
Yep, there'll
Or-
be a garage door there so they can pull into the lower level.
Okay,
The one beautiful thing about that building is it's one gigantic chunk of concrete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
That's
it's really set
solid.
up. Oh, it's set
yeah,
up.
you look at the ceiling, and the ceiling, you could see where they had the plywood. You could see
Yeah.
the knots in the
Yep.
plywood, what they used for, to do it.
Form
So,
the-
yeah, to form it all.
I think it's the only building in Lee County that's rated for a tornado, if I'm not mistaken. That's what John McLean kept telling me. His
Yeah.
dad, I think his dad designed the building. I'm not real sure.
It leaked really good,
Oh,
Did it?
but, yeah, it would,
especially in that corner.
all in the, not in the, yeah, well, the corner we had some leaking, and then the roof was always an issue too. So right around the vents and stuff like that.
we need to think about, we need to fire up the boiler. We had shut it down completely because we were kind of hoping to get it up and running before the heating season. But we've had to turn the boiler on to just keep things tempered in there. So-
Well, and one of the things we're gonna do is we're going to new forced hot air heaters in there. We're using like Resner wall hanging heaters. We're not gonna use the boiler. Well,
Mhm.
eventually, we're not gonna have the boiler in there.
Right.
So, yeah, I
Just
mean,
gas hanging ones.
yeah, just
Yep.
gas hanging ones and, yeah. So,
Air conditioning,
air
Summer?
conditioning.
sweat like a pig in there, I'm afraid.
Well, no, we've got all the engineering's done for this. I mean, we've got all of the electrical and the HVAC has been done as far as, we have CO2 sensors we got to put in there for trucks since we're putting vehicles in there to get rid of gas fumes. But I would be very hard to believe that it gets hot in that concrete area. I would say that would be as cool as a cucumber.
In that basement.
I think it's gonna sweat bad though.
Yeah.
And that's gonna get all over any
Get rid of that
carpentry
humidity.
tools or, yeah, to get that
Not
humidity.
with
'cause
the, not
it's
with the
half
makeup air, not
underground,
with the makeup
yeah.
air unit in there, Jeff. I completely
No?
disagree. I mean, that's what these guys do for a living is figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what the engineer got paid for. I mean, and we did that engineering year and a half ago-ish. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm sure it'll all work
Are
out.
we going to have an exhaust fan? I just thought of this now.
Exhaust fan is the makeup air, it's a CO2 sensor.
Oh, okay.
So
It kicks on whenever.
it kicks on and then it also replaces the air inside the building like as many as 30 times a day. All it does is kick on,
Recirculate.
recirculates it,
Okay.
it pulls air out. So then,
Okay.
and then if it senses CO2, any gas fumes, anything like that, it automatically opens the vent and vents everything outside. And that's all state statute stuff now. So,
We were thinking about putting a wall up where the vehicles are gonna go to, just to reduce the size of.
Sure. Of the area
vent
where it's
that we
gonna be.
need, you know? But
Sure.
I don't know, it's kind of in the works still too.
good.
On the back end of it, kind of? Like it,
No, not really in the back, moving into the side.
Okay.
Left as you're looking at the doors.
Okay.
Like almost straight
Yep.
back from the front door or something.
oh, yep. And that front, back, corner, all that, yep.
Well, because we're gonna have, the other thing is, until we plan on doing the upstairs, which will be the judges parking and the Sally port, everything's gotta be CO2 censored. I mean, because we're gonna have areas where we can't have CO2, I mean, especially in the Sally port. So it's all gonna be, once we commit to the judges parking as a project, then I think all that engineering will come together and do a pretty good job. Maintenance 3, hiring discussion. So Dick Capacious is supposed to be retiring in April, is that correct? We don't know for sure. Right now, Jeff has hired one young man who's doing really well, correct? And then we've got a custodial person hired and she's doing well. So we got 2 new hires and then Jeff has also been working very hard on trying to get us hooked up to a more efficient system of how we go about with getting our jobs and what people, work requests and time, all this kind of stuff. So he's been putting a lot of time in that. I asked him the other day about hiring
Making it flow.
maintenance 3, and he said he still has some time left to work on this stuff, and he wants to make sure he concentrates on this before we get too crazy. But we need to get on the ball with a maintenance 3 person because we're going to be up against it once Dick is gone. So,
Last I talked to him, he was talking May, but he had a lot of ducks he needed to get in a row still. So he said, I don't know how it's going to turn out. So he wouldn't give any
definite
real
answer.
time frame. Yeah. If I could speak real quick on the PM stuff that I'm doing, if you got
Yeah,
time.
go for it. Yep.
So just to give you an update on the preventative maintenance and work request system. So I've actually got all the buildings loaded into the system. So I have to identify every room, every compartment, every area first into the system. Then I have to get all of the assets loaded in. So that's actually done now. All the assets are loaded in and I've got them scheduled to automatically populate for inspections every week or month or quarter or whatever it needs to be. So the next step that I've got is some of the preventative maintenance stuff, like doing inspection of the roof periodically, just make sure we don't have leaks, check some of the flashing, that sort of a thing, check on the EM lights, making sure they're operational. Those need to be checked every month and yearly specifically. So I'm putting some of that stuff in next. I'm hoping to have that done maybe by the end of the week. Then I'm going to try and get the guys trained so that they know how the system works. Either in the perfect world, they have smartphones that it all populates on their smartphone and they can carry that around with them and tap it done and be done with the job. Got a couple of guys that aren't too savvy on their phones. So I might start with just a desktop computer for those guys and let them kind of work into it a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But once I get them on board, then we'll open it up to all the employees so that they can write work requests as they have problems, issues, lights out, doors don't work, whatever, bad outlets, whatever. So that's kind of the progression that we're working on it.
That's great. I mean, that's going to help us out. I mean, be a lot more efficient than what we were prior to this. And it's great. I'm glad that
Yeah.
that is starting to come together for you.
Catching a lot of that stuff before it happens.
No,
or
it
is.
Before a
It is.
problem happens, you know what I mean? So,
Well, and we've got so much things as far as preventative maintenance is that we have, as a county, for a decade have not done. And we need to get caught up and get a real good indication of when we can expect these type of expenses and what have you. So that's great. I'm glad you put it together.
Can I say something about the
Sure.
maintenance 3? I believe it's in the budget.
It is, it's in the budget.
So, whatever Dick decides to do, he's going to decide to do, but we have to keep in mind too that Greg is not going to be here forever too. So, I mean,
No.
it's not like.
The suggestion, I was going to bring this up. I'm glad you did, but I think we should shoot as a group to have in the paper or whatever by December 1 to try to get somebody and have somebody hired by January 1st. And I'll tell you what, the only reason I like, if we could do that, is it gives somebody who's going to be doing a lot of the stuff that Dick is doing now to follow Dick around from January, February, March, April, 4 months to learn where everything's at and be involved in the construction of the, whatever we're doing next door, and just get some general knowledge of what we have as far as buildings go. I think it's a big deal.
It's not like we're trying to force him out, but to
No.
have somebody here and
The fact that we know he's
know what's going
on the
is
way
huge.
out. Yeah.
And I-
Especially with the trouble we have sometimes hiring.
Dick is very knowledgeable of not only the old LEC, but he was kind of there during the building of the new jail out there as well. So, I mean, just, a lot of knowledge of that.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
and I
kind
think
of
Dick
stuff.
would look at it as a nice breath of fresh air that somebody else can come in and do some things that he doesn't have. I mean, he could, so I'd like to, I think we should consider, would that be something you could consider by December 1st? What's your thoughts?
I mean,
Uh,
if you want, we're not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
You want to give it some thought before our next meeting, and we can discuss it then too.
Yeah,
It's just-
November
Yeah.
13th, we
Yeah.
can talk about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, my point
there's-
is there's a possibility of 2 open slots there that are going to be huge.
Mhm.
And we've already got 2 open slots, Jeff, before you came here. We're down people.
Right.
And when it comes to snow season, you're going to wish you had another person by
Yeah.
January 1st.
Right.
I'm just saying, because,
Just throwing it out there.
just
Yep.
throwing it out there. I mean, I'm just
Yep.
saying, because we do have, like Dean said, we do have the ability, we have the money in our budget, to do that.
Mhm. Okay.
So, yeah, and put some thought to it and let's come back on the 13th and discuss it.
Okay.
So, okay, then, the old courthouse elevator project, you want to fill us in on what's going on there, Jeff?
November, sorry, I don't have that in front of me. First, I think we were talking about that coming in. Kind of waiting to hear from them still.
We're the
No, I don't
mercy.
hold your
Yes,
breath,
I
right?
know. Yeah, they said the material was going to be there. We haven't heard one way or the other
Okay.
yet.
No, I
from them,
understand it.
so,
It's an
yeah.
impossible, it is, I get it.
But I think we got a good handle on what we need to do once it does get started. I mean,
Right,
the concrete work out front actually kind of forced us to figure out how to make that work.
Yep.
It's really not going to be any different
yeah.
for the most part with the elevator thing.
So with the elevator project, they told us last time it was 5 to 6 weeks worth of work, correct?
Mhm.
But I mean, we really got to kind of hold their foot to the fire on that because this
Yep.
elevator needs to be up and running as quickly as we possibly
The
can.
one and only.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is the one and
Yeah.
only. We're not expecting miracles, but I do want to not have this linger too far into the
Yep.
to the abyss because that's what that's what it felt like a next door. But I understand there's a lot of hoops to jump through. So,
Sure.
and we already lined up the roofer. Or is he on call or is he got a date?
No, he's already got it torn off as
He's
far as he needs, and then he's kind of temped it over.
okay.
So yeah, I'd really like to see that done and get that rebuilt, if you will,
yeah.
before the snow flies.
For sure, for sure.
So yeah,
Okay. So then the work order system and preventative maintenance system, Jeff's already kind of gone over that, and I'm really glad that you're doing that. I think that's a big help for,
That way things
I'm-
don't fall through the cracks.
yeah. And the thing I like, and everybody wants to leave something better than when they got it. And I think by you doing that, I mean, 10, 15 years from now, someone can just keep going with what we've already started. I think that's a big deal. And that's what I like about it.
yeah, it is. That's right. The other thing too is we've got all our equipment labeled, so all the model number,
Yeah.
make, model, serial number, date of manufacturer,
up
that's
anywhere.
all on there. The guys can see it if they get
If
their
they-
smartphones going.
Yep.
They can pull it up and look at it specifically. So even as far as ordering a belt, if there's belts on,
Sure.
some of the HVAC stuff, that will be on the system, so they'll know exactly what belt to order. So it should make things a lot faster. We're going to want to keep things in stock too.
Right.
The idea of running to Ace or Napa or whatever to get belts every time we need it is
No,
wasteful. So
no, I'm really
getting-
glad that you did
getting
that.
efficient on that,
That's a huge,
so.
that's a huge asset for the county.
yeah,
Definitely.
So good,
Yeah.
very nice.
So while we're on that subject too, the work order that the different offices are going to use, is that going to be a timely thing to institute that, you think? Or, all this stuff has to be in first, of course, but
yeah.
it's just going to be a learning curve for everybody to get used to the new.
Yeah,
System.
it's going to be
Change
really
is
pretty
hard.
simple, like, I can't really pull it up for you right
No,
now,
that's
but
okay.
it's,
all right.
the work request is going to only have about 4 fields to fill in.
Yep.
And then you hit the submit button. I mean, it's going to be that easy. What I had done previously, and another job, was I would go department to department, load it on a computer for one or all, whoever needs it, depending on how savvy people are again.
Right.
An icon on your desktop. All you gotta do is click that icon and
Yep.
it pops up with that 4 questionnaire,
Yep.
fill it out, send it, and it's in our hands already, so
Cool.
it'll be, it's not gonna be complicated and it's gonna
No.
be pretty straightforward, so.
And the reason we want to make sure we do the work order thing, because we don't want guys, just people asking, hey, we need to have this picture, how we need.
Yep.
There's going to be things that we want to know about as a group, and there's things that we don't care about as a group. If it's up to you to facilitate and figure out the timeframes of who's going to do what.
The order.
The biggest thing is any expenditure, or I think it's over $2,500. Somebody wants to have their room remodeled, it's going to cost $15,000. We want you to go get the estimates.
Yep.
Pull all the estimates together, put it on a form, bring it to us, and then we'll say whether we're going to do it or not, whether we can put it in the budget or not.
Yep.
That gives you a layer between us and that department, and the facilities team will take care of any problems that,
Yep.
and we're just trying to help you that way.
Yep.
So,
Great.
but no, that's great. I'm really glad to see that coming along. The only other thing is, on the update is the old courthouse entryway turned out really nice. We got a lot of compliments about it. I talked to Jeff the other day, and I do not want salt used on that front step or the ramp at all this winter. Whether we use a light sand or whatever, polar salt, whatever does not have sodium, we do not want to have an issue down the road with the cure rate and all that stuff.
Yep.
I heard beet juice
Beet juice?
Huh?
Yeah.
I
it's
heard
out
bee
there.
juice was used for like the Park District when they'd have their turkey run, when we'd run there at Lowell Park, they would spray beet
Beet
juice on
juice.
the. Yeah,
Never heard of
I-
it.
Actually, I use that in Winnebago County on the bridges a lot.
Oh, they
Keeps it
spray
from
that?
freezing and it sticks and it stays on the road longer than salt. It just kind of,
Yeah.
after snow goes away.
Because I talked to Brad about the concrete sealer and
Mm-hmm.
he said the best sealer is Mother Nature, sun and water. And
Yeah.
that's what we kind of poured a little bit later than we wanted to, but weather didn't help us out much. But yeah, anything we can do to make sure, we're just trying to keep it to where it looks nice for, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, through the next year, it's going to be a different ballgame. It'll be cured out and everything. It should look great.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got the liquid magnesium.
Yep.
So
Did you check on that to see if that was?
well, there were two containers down there. One was magnesium, one was calcium chloride.
Yeah, we don't want the calcium.
So
chloride.
not sure where the calcium chloride came from. We can't figure that out exactly, other than it was a misorder or something. you
Sure.
know. So if we get the magnesium and do that liquid,
Yeah,
then I think that'd be better in a lot of ways than sand, because
Yeah.
that's sharp, that gets drug in and that'll wreck your floor
right.
quick.
Well, and another thing is we need to put mats down in the wintertime,
Yep.
front and back, and air marks should, I mean, as soon as snow season hits, we should have mats down and they should be being changed out once or twice a week.
Yep.
Not just left,
Mhm.
open or whatever. But yeah, just that, and then, did you authorize, K&G to do the, landscaping?
Nope, not yet. I got that right in front of me here. I need to try and catch up with them. I
Okay.
feel a little like the sod is, I don't know, I don't got a good feeling on that sod.
For what now?
It's quite a bit of, the sod for out front.
Yep.
I'm feeling like seeding maybe is going to be a better solution for us. There's a lot of sand out there. I think that sod is just the roots are gonna stay within that sod bed and you're gonna be able to pull that sod up 2 years down the road, you know?
Mhm.
So I think if we blanket it, for the season, we could throw a little seed on if we wanted to. Seed's cheap. Whether it grows or not at this point, not likely, but if we put the blanket down, at least it looks like there's something there. And then we can see it first thing in the spring and take off.
How much,
I think,
how
I
much
would,
dirt would we need to put down there to,
you don't need hardly any dirt.
you said there's a lot of sand, would throw any topsoil on top of that to help that, get that sod to go, or even with your seeds too?
Yeah,
Because I see there's a lot of rock.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
part of that
Well,
was.
he's gonna remove a lot of stuff and bring dirt in, from what I've been told.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
the only thing I would tell you is with sod is, once it germinates and it roots, it's not gonna be torn. I mean, we've done 20-acre fields with sod. I mean, just huge, vast expanses.
Mhm.
If the sod's cheap, we need to water the living garbage and
Mhm.
really water it a lot this year.
Yeah.
But then once it goes dormy, we don't have to water till spring. Spring comes in, we've got something that's rooted there. If the sod doesn't take, then we can put grass seed on top of the sod.
Right.
You did landscaping forever. What's the best thing to do?
I mean, to me,
Yep.
sod's the way to go. I understand the soil, but if they're gonna bring in
Yep.
topsoil and add a layer to it,
Yeah.
you've got instant grass. I mean, if you put down fabric or throw in seed now, it doesn't work. Basically throwing in the can. I mean, to me, I'd rather see to bring in topsoil,
Yeah.
put sod down, water it good, and I think my whole front yard was sod when we built the house.
I just
No
think it's an
time delay,
immediate
there's no
thing.
bare spots.
Right.
no-
Yep.
And I know what you're saying by putting a fabric down, but mowing it, and then we've got, the other thing is, Jeff, the amount of labor we'll spend trying to get grass to grow with seed as opposed to just sodding it, and it looks like it's,
Done.
like it's done. So,
And you're talking
Okay.
cost of seed and fertilizer if you do seed it, and then you've got bare spots that you're gonna come back and try.
Dean's an old landscaper from way back.
Yeah.
6 years, I didn't know
All right.
any better.
Well, green side up was the only thing you had to remember, right?
Yeah, on that, yeah. We used to put in the big rolls. like I said.
Oh, yeah, the ones on tractors.
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
That's the cat's meow.
So, not to
That's
criticize you, but I think,
Yeah.
especially if it's gonna be kind of a stopgap, I mean, let's put it in. If it doesn't work, then we'll.
Then we'll see.
Yeah.
It's the end of the season for sod too, so
End of
I
this
get-
month. Yep.
it ends this month, yeah.
And normally it's before Thanksgiving. We're doing a big project at the cemetery right now, and we're gonna sod, and it's, right before, right before frost, they put it down and water it like crazy and away it goes. So this is the best time of year to plant
It
anything
is.
from now until Thanksgiving. So work order review and approval, Jeff's all over that. Unfinished business, there's no other items, an unfinished business. New business, there's no business. Is there any request for an executive go ahead.
I got, just thought of one thing too. We're
Okay,
having
shoot.
issues with the election office again.
Okay,
What happened?
with the,
Water and the paint's peeled off.
efflorescence?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in that same corner where it was, so.
Yeah, so we went on the outside to look and see what we could
Okay.
see, and there's mortar missing in the corner, right on the inside corner. I mean, enough I can put my finger, my pen into, so we actually threw some mortar in there. We need to caulk the joint still because some of it's thin enough that mortar wouldn't be appropriate, so we need to caulk some of that. But it's so tight in the corner that the gutter's there, so we either got to pull that gutter away, kind of loosen it and pull it away, or I had suggested to get a tube on the end of the caulk gun and try and work it in there. You can get one
Can we
hand
take
in.
the gutter off and then just caulk that entire inside corner?
Yeah, that's a long and heavy gutter, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I can just release one bracket and just kind of pull it.
Yeah, because
you know,
any
get the
amount of
gutter
water that gets in there is gonna go straight through the wall.
Yep.
And we thought it was completely sealed.
Yeah, no, the ledge at the top of the first floor, that was the worst. There's like a brick border around
Yep.
there. That didn't have any mortar in it hardly at all. I mean, literally you could put your finger you couldn't hit the bottom, you know what I mean? So,
Wow.
We had to
anything
touch it
splashing
a
on
year
that,
ago.
So we'll get that sealed up here.
Not me.
And
I
maybe
think
for
that'll
some of the
help.
Bigger gaps too, if you could put some, if you can't get mortar and just get some of that caulk backing,
Mhm.
put it in and then caulk over it too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Dimonic or Trimenic,
Mhm.
the caulk.
Mhm. Yep.
That's the best stuff to use.
Yep.
You gotta get it from Stetson Supply, but
Yep.
if you need backer rod and whatever, that would be great.
Yeah.
But we do have to steal any air infiltration, we gotta stop.
Yep.
Or else it's just gonna go straight through the building.
Yeah, that's why we haven't really gone
That's
any
fine.
further on the interior.
Right.
We got to get that
No, I
sealed.
understand.
Is it,
So,
oh,
yeah.
is it a huge spot?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The paint completely peeled. I mean, you
It
can
almost
you
looks
can
like-
grab it.
Was
and
it
roll
primed? It almost looks like there wasn't primer
Yeah,
behind the paint.
yeah, these guys, our guys painted it, they
Yeah.
primed everything.
Yeah.
Well,
I had
that's-
we had executive plastering coming back 2-3 times already to look at it, and same thing with the front entryway out there. Same thing. It's doing the same thing, chalking, and so I found a little scuttle hole in the ceiling of the elections department and kind of looked up in there to see if the drain was leaking. I couldn't identify anything at that point, but there is evidence of water damage in the past, just not current. So
Right.
we've been watching with this rain, but the rain really hasn't been coming the right direction. I don't think it's not been getting in here, but as I talked to the elections folks, I said that they've seen that little area get full of water in the past, like the drain was plugged kind of a thing,
Well, the
So-
gutter was missing for a long time until we finally had it. Didn't we just have
Well-
it patched like a year ago?
There
Out in
was-
the actual front of the building,
The
like
front of the
straight down
building-
from here?
No, out here,
The back
in
door.
the back.
Oh, no, I'm talking the front door.
Oh, the front
here.
door? No,
Yeah,
I've never, no. Didn't
yeah. That
repair anything up
entry,
there.
that entry is chalking up
Is
and
it?
dusting
So
real
it's
bad.
efflorescence. Yep, moisture.
Yeah, so we gotta try and figure out what's going on with that too before we can finish that again,
I just
so.
didn't know if you were aware of it. That's
No.
why,
Yeah,
sounds like you're on
Now,
top of it.
well, there's a drain out there and I can get up into the attic and see poke through the ceiling or the roof there and then shoot off and then drop down. And I have no idea where it's going beyond that. It's a copper pipe, 1.5 inches.
Was this running in the wall?
I think it's probably running down the wall,
Down
getting
the
down
wall.
into the basement and maybe catching storm sewer somewhere down there. I mean, hopefully. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because there's nothing outside. I'm looking for wet spots, green spots where it just maybe went underground and popped out in the yard somewhere. Not seeing that. So I'm not sure where that goes, but
Granite garden
Oh.
goes up.
So
Yeah.
is that like a roof drain then that you're talking about?
Mhm.
Okay,
yeah, like if you jump straight out this window and landed on the roof right below there. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Another mystery.
Yeah,
Where the bats are coming in.
yeah, right.
Hey, doesn't take much.
So anyway, that's why I brought that up. I should have known Jeff's
You
all
know,
over it.
We, 20 years ago, I got a phone call and we replaced this chunk of stone up here. And they thought a bomb went off the courthouse, but the actual limestone busted in two. And a 1,200-pound piece of limestone came down, went straight down and hit that roof. And the county had the roof repaired. But when we replaced it, we had to take the roof upstairs off in order to get the stone through the roof down into, you know. But that roof is hit, that I don't know if it was, I mean, I don't know who repaired it. Is the roof in decent shape?
Yeah, it looks like him. It's a rubber roof,
Yeah.
you know, so
Must
it
have
was,
been done since then.
yeah, maybe.
So-
It's so dirty that I can't really, I'm trying to get my fingernail under all the seams and a pen and, you know, and just try and scratch through and see if I can find any holes. Nothing yet, but
Yeah.
we've cleaned it off. We've double checked it a couple times. So,
Okay. Let's keep an eye on that stuff and just keep repairing stuff as we can. I mean,
Add it to the list.
pretty soon it'll get, well, yeah, I mean, you know, and that's the thing is your list is gonna be endless for a number of years.
Playing catch up.
Is there any request for an executive session? No? So the next meeting, whoa. She getting ready? So the next meeting would be November 13th at 3 o'clock, which is Monday, the 13th. So Jeff is going to have his idea of maintenance 3, of when we're gonna hire, because we need to talk to Bob about that too, and Jim Sheeline to see how that works, Dean, with the budget.
Mhm.
But
I was under the impression that it
It
was
was
already built
already-
into the budget
It-
for that position.
it is,
Yeah, okay.
because we're down, we'll be down 3 people this spring. So,
Do you feel down 2?
I haven't hit winter yet, so I'm not going to say anything.
he hasn't shoveled snow at 2 in the morning yet, so he'll come back in February and say, we absolutely should need that.
We need 4 more.
Chris, do you have anything else for us?
I don't think so.
Okay, so with that being said, I'll take a motion to end the meeting. Second. Dean, Mr. Pearson, second, or all in favor, say aye.